All right, let's dive into a core conflict from the Bhagavad Gita, one that I think a lot of us wrestle with. Should we jump into the messiness of the world to make a difference, or should we pull back to find some peace? This whole question of renunciation versus action, let's get into it.
And this is really the heart of the dilemma, isn't it? It's a question we all face in some way. Do you lean into the challenges of life, believing that's where meaning is found? Or do you step back from all the chaos to protect your own peace? The Gita tackles this question head on.
And you can totally see why we get stuck here. I mean, look at this. The path of withdrawal, it just looks so appealing, doesn't it? It promises peace, simplicity, and safety from all the world's drama. But then you have the path of action, which, let's be honest, often feels like the complete opposite. It's messy, it's stressful, and it feels like a surefire way to get tangled up. So yeah, it's easy to see why we get frozen between these two choices. So this isn't some new age problem about burnout or quiet quitting. Nope, this is an ancient, universal question. And after everything Krishna has already taught Arjuna about knowledge and action, his student is left with this exact same confusion. Okay, so let's just quickly set the stage for why Arjuna is so confused. By this point in the Gita, Krishna has laid down three huge ideas. First, you can't escape action, period. Even sitting still is an action. Second, selfless action, what's called karma yoga, is a super important path. And third, it's true knowledge that ultimately sets you free. So you can see how that leads to a very logical question, right? If knowledge is the ultimate goal, well, wouldn't it be way better to just renounce all the messy action and focus only on that? And this brings us to the absolute core of it. Arjuna asks, point blank, which path is better? And Krishna's answer is just brilliant because he doesn't just pick a side, he completely reframes the whole debate. He shows us it's a false choice to begin with. So first, Krishna does something really important. He validates both paths. He doesn't just dismiss renunciation, which is called sannyāsa. He says, yes, both this path and the path of selfless action, karma yoga, they can both lead to the ultimate goal of freedom. So he's not creating some rigid my way or the highway dogma. But right after he acknowledges both are valid, he makes a pivot. And this is where the common understanding of spirituality really gets turned on its head. Krishna is about to make a distinction that is incredibly practical and honestly pretty profound.
And there it is, the direct answer. For most of us, engaging in action with the right understanding is the better path. Not withdrawal, not avoidance, but mindful, purposeful engagement. So the million-dollar question is, why?
And this right here is the key insight. The Gita doesn't really care what you're doing on the outside. It's all about your internal state. Just withdrawing from your job, your family, your responsibilities. If you haven't cultivated that inner clarity first, it's not spiritual progress. It's just escapism. You're hiding, not healing.
And this leads us to maybe the most radical part of the teaching. Krishna is about to completely redefine what true renunciation actually is. It has almost nothing to do with changing your clothes or your address. It's all about changing your mind.
This really lays out the shift perfectly. Renunciation is not the dramatic stuff we think it is. Quitting your job, moving to an ashram, or just avoiding your duties. No, true renunciation is an inner discipline. It means you stop saying, I am the one doing this, and these results belong to me. It's about acting with your full capacity, but without that sticky egoic attachment.
This is the big synthesis. You can be a CEO, an artist, a parent, fully engaged in the messy world, and still be completely renounced on the inside. And the Gita argues that this person is far, far more spiritually advanced than someone who runs away from the world physically, but is still mentally clinging to all their desires and worries.
Krishna also makes a really practical point here. He basically says that for most of us, for those who haven't reached that deep inner clarity yet, action is actually the safer and more effective training ground. I mean, really think about it. If you just step away from everything before you're ready, what actually happens? With no external stuff to deal with, all those hidden desires can get way bigger. That inner chatter in your head can get a whole lot louder, not quieter. And maybe the worst part, the ego can get real sneaky and wrap itself in a cloak of spirituality, judging everyone else while secretly staying exactly the same. Action, on the other hand, is like a powerful mirror. When you're out there acting in the world, your attachments get exposed immediately. You can't hide them. You're forced to develop discipline just to navigate the day.
And over time, the very process of doing your work selflessly helps to purify your intentions, shifting them away from what's in it for me to something bigger. So, when you boil it all down, the path of the Gita isn't about finding some quiet corner to sit and be confused in. It's about engaging with life in a way that actually creates clarity. It's about an active, learning mind, not a passive, avoidant one.
And man, does this ancient wisdom hit home today. I mean, how often do we see this kind of false renunciation? It's everywhere. It's in quitting a tough job out of frustration with no real purpose. It's disengaging from difficult but important relationships. It's calling our desire to avoid a challenge a quest for peace.
So here's the ultimate takeaway. The goal is not to stop doing things. The goal is to get the ego to stop being so involved in your actions. Real freedom isn't found in doing nothing. It's found in acting without that little voice in your head that's always trying to claim ownership of the results.
And let's end with this powerful thought. The bondage isn't in the work itself. It's in our desperate attachment to it. You don't find freedom by running away from the world. You find it by transforming your relationship to the world, by acting fully, freely, and without that heavy burden of ownership. So maybe a good question to ask is, what in your life could you do with just a little less ownership today?